Welcome everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Tech LGTM. And technology looks good to me. I'm Amol Sharma, and I have two co-hosts. One is Preet and then Shashank. Today is Friday, and then I have a beer with me. And for this particular episode, let's cheers together.
Cheers.
Hey guys, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
So, in the last episode, we covered a topic SPAC, and we have seen a very hyper activity in that SPAC field. A lot of SPAC are being launched every single day. In this particular episode, we're going to cover two more topics. One is basically we see that a lot of startups are ganging up together in India against the monopoly of Google. Other topic we're going to discuss about is the Facebook. It has sued two companies recently for the scraping. So let's start with the first topic that um, we see a lot of startups in the India have certainly started to actually gang up together against a company which has a tagline of "Don't be evil." So Preet, over to you. Can you explain why these gang up is happening in India against Google?
Hey Amol. Sure. This actually is kind of interesting because we recently talked about the Play Store's monopoly, right? Apple and Google's. So this is a really interesting thing that happened, I think, on Tuesday, where over 150 startups actually are trying to form an alliance to fight against Google's uh, rules or fair play practices. So this is kind of, I would say, if I speculate, is kind of a reaction also because they try to play with fire by throwing out India's biggest valued or highest valued startup, Paytm, and they threw them out of the app store for about 8 or 10 hours. I think that was the amount of time, and they reinstated it. And then all of a sudden, within less than a week, this entire coalition started, where all these founders are together and they are deciding to actually create their own uh, app store where they would probably have better rules and regulations of how uh, apps are submitted, how they are controlled, how they are governed. Because if you see that the news that came out, Vijay Shekhar is one of the biggest names in that coalition.
So generally, perception of the Google is that it's again it's don't be able. It's been a good company, right? So suddenly, what exactly changed? Why this has been happening, especially in India, where basically what I understand is that there's a huge domination of the Google App Store, right?
Yeah, so I would like to add there is like if you look at Google in the Indian market is like 91% of the Indian market is actually dominated by Google smartphones, like Android operating system. That's 91% of the market. Other 9% is Apple and other some other OS and feature phones. So that's a huge monopolistic kind of a number where Google controls that much of India's economy and everything. Like majority of the people who are first time accessing internet is through mobile. So they are practically accessing internet with the blessing of Google. So
So, what kind of numbers are we talking about when you say that? Like all apps, Google controls all of this. Like we're talking about a very big number, I'm guessing, right? When you
yeah,
said 90%.
91% is the market share of the Android in the Indian market. So 91% Android phones are there in the market. So all the apps and all the things what if you're looking at is controlled by the Google App Store. So if you install a like what happened, what you mentioned, Preet, was about the Paytm stuff.
Yeah.
Paytm got kicked out from Google App Store for violating some rules, and which is legitimately done. Actually, it was not like which Paytm was not violating; it was actually violating the rules.
It tried to package a gambling. It was trying to gamble. And,
Yeah, it was
by,
promoting the gambling stuff there, gambling
yeah,
app that you need to do this, and uh, gambling app, which is against Google's policy, which is laid down there. So nothing. I would say like Google was not wrong in that, but
yep,
what happened in that, in the sense is like companies started realizing like how much uh,
control.
control Google has over the whole Indian app economy. because everything is an app economy now. You talk about Uber, you talk about Ola cabs, you talk about the biggest and largest uh, startups in India. They're all based on mobile phone, because that's how majority of the Indians are actually accessing internet. And so that's the realization. Like what Google did was not wrong, but what happened was the Google kicked and made people realize that if they can actually ban Paytm for whatever reasons, for that can be debated, but that made them realize that okay, we are still dependent on Google. And that's where these companies are realizing that, oh, why don't we form a coalition against Google or create another alternative? Because what happens, because Google still is a private company, it's not for a non-profit kind of stuff, it's not an org where they are their own
it's for profit.
It's a for-profit company, and they're answerable to their shareholders. So practically they are going to do whatever is good for Google. They are not going to do, don't be evil. Yes, don't be evil for themselves. Actually, they're going to make money for themselves by not being evil. Yes, I understand that, but
I think, Shashank, there's one more reason why these guys or the startup community in India decided to go against and form this coalition. Control is definitely one thing, but I think this week they also, Google announced that they would enforce that 30% rev share on all in-app purchases. So that's like a major hit. Any app.
That's a big number, right? I mean, if I am the startup in India and then suddenly I have all these projections and then I'm making promises to my VCs that I'm going to give this much return, I have this much revenue, and suddenly this news comes that this 30% of chunk is going away from me. That is going to give a big shock to basically all these startups suddenly, right? So that completely makes sense. But do you guys know any number that basically how much of the billions we are talking about for the profit for the, like what is the billion here?
So Sensor Tower, it's yesterday's news when Sensor Tower came out with like how much revenue. Like if I talk about just Q3 to 2020 was $29 billion just for one quarter revenue, in-app kind of revenue. So and if you extrapolate that number, I don't have exact number for the annual, but let's say if I have to just take an approximate, it's like 100 plus billion dollars, like 120 and maybe 150, but 100 plus billion dollars. And if you look at what I just want to take a couple of steps back. You remember we talked about Apple's monopoly on Google, on their app store, and they are forcing in-app payment for like you have to use Apple. You cannot use anything else. You have to use Apple's in-app, and then in-app purchase stuff, and then they take 30% out of it. Google has a similar policy, but it never enforced it. Now, as you said, that Google is looking at these numbers. I am guessing that like they are looking at these numbers that okay, 30% of $120 billion is still $136 billion, billion with a B.
That's a lot.
So who is getting that 30% between Apple and Google? So they are fighting for that $36 billion, and it's not a small number.
So if you hypothetically just go by that, 90% of that 30 billion is Google's, right? Well, because 10% is somebody else's.
In India.
In India, right? I mean, what we see is that the Apple generally still makes a lot of money, right, in the App Store, for the obvious reason, because they have big users in the US, right, and they are high-paying users right now. Having said that, basically we see that there are a couple of marketplaces which are famous. One is basically this one, App Stores. Other is Amazon. Like, what is happening in the Amazon? Like, do you guys have any idea? Like, can we take something, any cue from the Amazon marketplace that how those rules can be applied here, and what Indian startups can learn from that?
So what I can see for the future is somewhat like I am guessing like while these startups are actually forming a coalition and they're actually talking about stuff, but I definitely see there might be a regulation coming in India where if you remember like what happened with Amazon in India, like Amazon does a lot of, you guys all know we have actually bought like Amazon basic products, which is nothing but like they see whatever people are buying more, they create their own brand and they sell it. So they have
for a cheaper price.
Yeah, for a cheaper price. They have an advantage of being knowing what people want, and second, they have advantage of actually putting Amazon basic on the top of ranking. Like it's their ranking algorithm. They can put it anywhere. While they can claim that okay, their ranking algorithm is probably non-biased, but who knows? So,
Yeah.
so what India did, rightly so, which was that India didn't allow Amazon to sell their own products. So they said either you can be an e-commerce site that you sell your own product, that's fine. That like Nike.com, they can sell shoes there with no issues there. But you cannot be a marketplace then. That you're not allowing the sellers to actually sell while you're also selling the same product. Or you can be a pure marketplace where you are providing the technology, you're providing all the infrastructure and logistic, whatever it is, but then you let the seller sell the product and the buyers buy the product. But you are not competing with any of the sellers in the market. That's a fair marketplace in my opinion, and India did the
Yeah.
right thing there. And why I think that model needs to be applied to the Play Store and App Store. If you are creating a fair marketplace, then you cannot create your own rules and also play in that same field. Like, well, Apple is coming out with their own products and competing with the competitors and saying that, okay, this is my marketplace. It's a fair thing, but I'm not charging 30% on my own apps. Of course, it's my app. I'm not going to charge 30% on it. Even if I
But do
charge
you
my
really
own
want the governments to get involved in something
yeah,
like this?
And
I
then, and then what happened in Amazon, right? The Indian government did a crackdown, right, on this rule. Do we know any other countries which have done the crackdown or something similar against any of the app stores like this, right?
So I don't know whether other governments have
To have a fair
done
play.
this. I don't know, Amol, whether other governments have done it, but just before Indian startup community announced that they are trying to found this alliance, but like other companies have also done this. Like this week itself, like other companies are trying to pressurize Apple and Google to make changes to their marketplace rules, like including Epic Games, Spotify. So Spotify has been trying to uh, tell Apple to bring down their prices on the rev share, but now other companies have also joined that coalition,
yep.
and it's happening worldwide. So this is not just restricted to India. So India might be able to get there faster because Indian community or startups have been supported by the Indian government. So I see that happen much faster in the Indian community.
So basically, you're saying that India can actually lead in this kind of fair play rules setting,
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah,
Across
absolutely.
all the marketplaces, right? So
Yep.
absolutely.
before we move on to the next topic, do you have any final thoughts, Shashank and Preet?
No, I think
There's
it
one thing. Go ahead. Yeah,
yeah,
I
it would
wanted to
be
add a couple of things.
okay. What I'm saying is like it would be a very interesting thing to see what happens. And for my thought is like it's gonna be probably some regulation is gonna very soon come out from India or some other country. Or either India or European EU will come out with
Yep.
something, and then US will follow that.
So I don't really. I have more of a question. Like I want to get your guys' opinion on that. See, Google is a very big player in this entire ecosystem of startups or new tech or emerging businesses also. So Google, Google is a very active player in the investment community in Indian startups. So it has backed a lot of startups in India. And recently, it invested around 4.5 billion in the Geo platform owned by the Ambanis. So where do you see? How do you justify that Google is playing fair by charging the same apps a percentage of the revenue for getting themselves listed on the app store and also investing in the same companies? So is it really investment?
I think it's a very good question, and I think personally, I will give a very quick answer before we move on to the next topic. Um, I think this is definitely not fair. Basically, when they are investing in the company and then taking the money out of the revenue, right? So these rules have to be changed. Shashank, you have any final thoughts on this question?
I think that definitely like rules has to be changed. It has to be more fair, and it has to be like 30% is like yes, when they started the business, when they created the platform, I would say it was fair in 2007, 2010. It's 2020 now. Yeah, it has been more than a decade. It's almost like the government charging for the tolls for a road being built, and then you're continuing. You have to recoup the cost of building that infrastructure, but you're still because you're so used to getting that kind of free money that you will keep on keeping the tolls there. So that's what happens everywhere in all the places. That's what Apple and Google are doing. They created the infrastructure. Now the free tolls is coming. I will just want to keep on getting the tolls.
Shashank, what if I put you on the spot and ask you a question as the CEO and co-founder of Flix? What if Google comes tomorrow and says that, hey, Shashank, I would want to invest a few $1,000,000 into Flix, but you also have to pay that 30% toll tax. But are you going to be on the part of also joining the coalition of with the rest of the founders?
Oh yeah, I will do the
Saying
both
that this
thing.
is
Like I'm telling you, like I will do the both thing. Why would not I take the investment or like,
what if you
I
have
still
one
have to
choice?
be. I'm doing business in India. I still have to be in Google's Play Store.
Yeah.
I would be there, but doesn't mean like I'm not gonna say like if something is bad, I'm gonna say that it's bad actually. So they are not gonna. I mean, it's freedom of speech, man.
Yeah.
That's a great stand, Shashank. I think, and right on question by Preet. Let's move on to the next topic. So, very interesting thing happened, right? I mean, Facebook does not sue the companies very, very frequently, and just recently I saw the news that Facebook has sued two companies recently. Preet, do you want to actually give more update at what exactly happened? What's going on there?
So I want to give you some context before we actually get into this, because it's kind of interesting, right? Because we have traditionally seen Facebook get on the other side of whenever it involves privacy or user data, or somebody saying that Facebook and Google are evil companies. They are taking your company. They're selling your data. This is the first time that I have ever seen Facebook on the other side and saying that they're suing other companies for saying misusing Facebook's data. So this happened. I think this was in the talks this week, where these two companies, one was an Israeli company. The other one was a company based in Delaware. I forget the exact name, but I think it was Brand Total, and the other one I don't remember.
Unimania.
Unimania. So these two companies created browser extensions where
Upvoice and ad feeds, something like that.
Upvoice and ad feeds. And what they are doing is they are on a high level. They are paying people to use these extensions, and they would scrape their data as soon as they start visiting these big social networks like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So, and then they would scrape this data and do a lot of things. I mean, we'll get into that, but this is on a high level. This is what they kind of do.
So that means it's, I think, big violation basically of the users who actually have signed up to the Facebook. They don't know who is going to actually use their data, right? If I'm the user of the Facebook, and I disabled it a few years back, I enabled it again recently because of the COVID. I want to actually have more interesting stuff to look into. But then I don't know like who's actually looking into my data right now, right? And it's interesting that the Facebook has finally started doing the crackdown. Especially the recently we saw the news about the voting where Cambridge Analytica was actually scraping the data or actually using or abusing the APIs to take a lot of data out of that, right?
So I will play a kind of devil's advocate there. That they were paying the users. Users actually agreed to sell the data. Like, is it like those two companies which is actually at the fault, or is it the user who's actually selling the data? Because what happened here is like I am getting like whatever you said, $75 a year or something, whatever it's
something like that. Yeah.
So if I'm getting X amount of money for giving away my data and give away the rights to that data so that other company can actually trade on it and do whatever on it, whatever their plan is actually to.
Yep.
So how is actually that company which is actually providing the extension to capture the data is at fault?
So basically what I understand is that Facebook said a cease and desist order to those companies, right? And they did not stop this thing. So even though the company had agreement of actually paying to their users using an add-on, right? But that validated the actual platform, the Facebook.
So
right?
that's where I like. That's where it's a like big confusion here. Like I would say.
Let me take a small example, Shashank. I mean, I think that would be much easier. Like if you are this user of one of these add-ons, you get paid $75, totally fine. Yeah. You are happy.
Yeah.
But how are you giving consent to when you Amol's data and my data? Because I and Amol don't have the extension. But if you visit my profile through on Facebook or Instagram, and
Yeah.
you have this extension. They are scraping my data. They're scraping Amol's data.
So
And then-
that's what I'm saying. So if I am selling my data, then because as per like GDPR and California privacy law, the game changed where now you are the owner of your data, even if, and these guys are like the keeper of the data, not the owner. So
Yeah.
that law changed a lot of things there. So I can sell my data. Yes, I agree on that side. I don't have any legal rights on selling Amol's data or Preet's data because that's their data. I don't have any ownership, but the law is kind of clear on that. So yes, they were definitely, like, I'm not saying that Facebook is not justified in suing them, but what is the liability of the person who actually agreed to those companies' terms and condition while they were also doing selling, trying to capture scrape the data of other people. Like if Shashank agrees to it and I have like 500 friends on Facebook and I'm visiting Facebook and using when I'm clicking on Preet's profile and they can capture Preet's name, picture and everything because it's there, it's as a Chrome extension. Like, am I liable to it or not? That's the question I'm actually interested in. Like, is Shashank
My personal take is no, you are not liable. That's just my take, because because you pointed out CCPA and GDPR. GDPR explicitly states that you have to tell the user what you are collecting.
No, I as an individual person who is actually giving consent to the company that, okay, I am installing the extension. This is me,
Yeah.
Shashank, you can take my data and I don't
Yes.
care. You can take all the data, whatever I have in my social network.
Yeah.
So would I
But
be liable for that, or is the company has to make sure that, okay, they don't, I think it's both. I don't know.
Twofold.
It becomes very difficult, right? I mean, when you create an extension, right? There's so many extensions right now to the Chrome, right?
Yeah.
And then in the fine print, you have this thing that, okay, you have to read it and then you have to accept it, right? Many people do not read it properly, and this is a fact of the thing.
But
Then-
Amol, it should not be on the fine print. Like according to GDPR, they should be explicitly saying that what data they are collecting, like first name, last name. Even if they're saying that they are collecting their friends' information, that itself is gray area, and they should not be even allowed to even ask that question: that can I collect Preet's and Amol's data if Shashank installed it? So they should be smart about it and say that maybe they are not liable to GDPR and CCPA rules. I think that could be one thing, because
No, I think they are liable for that. Like they cannot, because one thing, I mean, again, we are not lawyers. We don't know about,
Yeah.
we cannot, but what I think ethically, when the law says that you own your own data,
Yes.
that is explicit enough to say that I don't own Preet's data. So I cannot sell your data. Even if I have your data, I am not the owner of your data, so I cannot sell. When Facebook is not owner of your data with GDPR stuff, then how
But
can
GDPR does not. GDPR is not applicable everywhere, right, Shashank?
No,
It's maybe-
I'm just saying that, like, yes, it's not applicable everywhere. So you can fight in other places like California privacy law, CCPA, and GDPR, at least on those two places where it's very easy. They can sue if they were a California, like if I'm a California, like Amol is a California resident.
Yep.
And if somebody, like I installed that extension, Amol can actually sue because his data was actually
Yes.
taken without
Absolutely.
the consent.
Yeah,
Right.
Amol can sue. That is very interesting. Amol can sue that because of CCPA prevents that from happening, or gives users that control. Can Facebook actually make that case and say that?
Oh yeah,
Shashank,
I think so. Facebook can make a case where say, okay, my California users were actually, you breached
Okay.
the privacy of my California users, you breached the privacy of my European users.
Okay,
So
got it.
talking about suing, basically, LinkedIn last sued basically a company called HIQ Labs, right, in 2019. And the verdict of that particular lawsuit was that anything which is publicly available data can be easily scrapped, and then no one can stop that. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we end this particular episode? That is that good for everyone, all the users, or is that still a problem?
I see that one as similar to like when you're in a public place, you open your camera, you take a picture, and you're capturing all the people who are walking next by you or there, or you're capturing some private companies, some private buildings, houses, and everything. Can I get sued? I cannot, because it's a
You
public
can,
place.
Shashank.
No,
Private, if you're taking somebody's picture of their house or their kids,
you're
yes,
in a
you can
public,
get sued.
Well,
you
well,
are in a,
take-
no,
You can take pictures of the
Listen,
public.
listen.
Yeah.
You cannot get sued when you are taking a picture from a public place. You cannot
Of
take
a public
picture
place.
of.
Shashank, if on the Nitro Road,
Yeah.
basically, if you're wearing,
Of a public place. If you're
So
taking
if
a
I'm
picture
walking
of
on
a
the
public
Times
place.
Squares, you are saying that
Yeah.
if I'm walking on, I'm not a public. My face is not a public face or something like.
No,
Can I sue somebody
absolutely
like
right. But what you brought up is somebody's house. Yes, you can get sued if you're
inside
taking
the
pictures of
house?
somebody's house.
Somebody can
Shashank,
take a picture right on the street, right there, and take a picture, and I cannot do anything about it.
Shashank, on the lighter note, basically, if you're wearing a Google Glass and then you're just walking to the bar, you get punched in the face. That happens on the.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
No,
so
that's what I'm saying.
basically,
But like legally, can they do it? They could have done it, right? Yes, as a bar, that's a private company. They can say, okay, Google Glass is not allowed here. That's their rule.
Yes.
But if they are standing outside in the parking lot, which is a public place there, maybe it's a public road,
Totally.
they can wear Google Glass and take the pictures of whatever they want actually. And
They can absolutely. Yeah. Any public.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I take that as an example of the internet. Internet is also, in my opinion, like an infrastructure. This is an internet. You have a public facing website.
Yeah.
And it's out there. There's no privacy there then.
perfect. Preet and Shashank.
Very
Yeah.
interesting point. But it's. I mean, I didn't think of it that way. But public profiles 100% kind of makes sense. But if you have all your privacy settings enabled, you went through all the trouble of Amol said that, hey, I only want to share my profile with Shashank and maybe Preet.
So
And
that's where it's like if I sign up on Google or Facebook or any website and Shashank signed up and agreed to terms and service.
Yeah.
So you should not be showing the data or things to the people who have not agreed to it. And if you can say, okay, no, this was a private data, you cannot take it. No, if I don't agree to your terms of service and it's I can still see it without agreeing to it, then it's public.
absolutely. But
then you cannot.
if you're logging into your profile,
and of course, because the part of login is like I agree to your terms and service. Then you do anything wrong, then you are breaching it.
Makes sense, Shashank and Preet. Basically, we're coming to the end of this particular episode. Before we conclude this episode, do you have any final thoughts on this particular topic? What do you think what is going to happen in the future? Right? Let me explain that where I see the technology moving towards. The Facebook and social network is just basically a trail of what is happening, right? Soon we are going to have the AR glasses. We have covered that before, right? And you guys mentioned that having this camera in the phone is just a trailer. Soon we will have the wearables, which is going to capture everything, right? Where does the rule come in? What is your final thought? I'll give you 1 minute to both of you to explain where you see that in 10 years or 15 years from down the line, how the rules will change.
I actually want to get your thoughts also more on this because you have also you've played around with this concept for quite a while, right? These Google glasses, you've probably spied on people also wearing those glasses as research. Yeah.
So I've never used the Google glasses, but then I have used the HoloLens and all that. So let me explain. There's a very interesting startup we will cover in the future episode. This is called Humane, right? And it is being started by 2 executives from the Apple. And it is what is actually told in public by some of the leaks is that you will have a device which you can attach, and then it will start recording, and then it is going to be hyper aware that where you are, and then most of the processing will happen in the cloud, right? It just recently raised 30 million, right? Some of the best known VCs in the market. And then it's supposed to be the next iPhone in the market, right? And it might release probably by end of the next year.
Are they doing SPAC?
They might, I don't know. Considering that the founders have about close to more than 50 patents of the Apple that they have filed. So I have a big hopes from them that they are someone who are actually respectable to actually raising this money and then launching this new platform, which is they're saying that is going to be new iPhone. And then it's supposed to, when you walk into any place, it's supposed to capture everything, and it's supposed to tell you everything that when you see something, for example, a building, it is supposed to tell you what is this building about, and then what companies are inside that building. If you look into a particular face, it can tell you about like who is that person possibly, right?
No way.
So there's based on the patent they have filed, these are the
Yeah.
things they might or might not be able to do, right? Hyper aware of the
Yeah.
things around you. So what I see is that the future is inevitable. Is you will have the devices which you do not even have to look into the phone. It will tell you in front of you that what is around you. But then rules will come, as what I see, that to stop that. Because if I come and then have a dinner with you and then have my camera open and that records everything, I don't think you guys will be comfortable to have share or even have a frank talk with me or even share this particular beer with me, right? Because when
Depends.
you
If you have alcohol, then probably no. If there is no alcohol involved, then maybe maybe yes.
exactly. So, I mean, my fan point here is that basically these rules will change, evolve, right? And so, over to you, Shashank. Do you have any fan thoughts?
I think like the rules will follow. These companies will like most of these companies will exploit, uh, not in a negative way, like exploit. They will actually create things which will challenges the current rule and privacy and everything. Ultimately, I'm a big believer in empowering people. People should have all the controls over it. Like any company who is doing all these kind of things, they should actually give me an option of opting in, not opting out. Like and that's kind of part of GDPR and especially California privacy stuff is like everyone has an opt out initially, like I can opt out from something, but then I never gave you consent to actually take my data. So if you're taking my data and stuff there, I should be opting in, not opting out. So I mean it's a tough thing for the user. As an individual user, it's always been going to be tough, like how where my data is and how it can come back and bite me later on. So
Oh yeah.
I
so
think it's a very interesting point that by default everything has to be opt-in, right? That's the right way to do it, and I think we can start to see a little bit of that in the Apple Store also, right? Where it asks you every single time questions that do you want to share this or that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Preet, do you have any final thoughts?
I just want to echo Shashank's point of opting in, because actually that was one of the reasons why I wanted to actually work with Shashank, because of his thought process
Yeah.
into something like this, where he believed in the idea of empowering user. Like Facebook always said private is the future, but Shashank was the one who said neither public or private is the future. Future is giving control to the users.
Yeah,
So
totally.
that thing is still stuck with me. And that actually is kind of very interesting, because that's why I love these conversations with you guys. That everybody has a different perspective of bringing things out, and then you kind of understand where things are, how things are evolving.
Yeah, I remember the last Facebook conference where Mark Zuckerberg went on the stage and just declared, "Oh,
Yes.
future is all private." Like,
Yeah.
I like, who are you to decide? Actually, I understand
Exactly.
created Facebook, but who are you to decide like what my future looks like? I am a public guy. I want to put all my data public. Like, why are you going to force me to become private? Now, I don't want to be private, but then maybe Preet wants to be private. Let him become private. Like, it's about the user and what they want to do. They should be feeling empowered, and nobody should be able to abuse my data without my permission.
Exactly.
I think that's a great point,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shashank, and you put a great point, Preet. Basically, I'm a big fan of these thoughts of Shashank, right? I think I've been hearing about his thoughts and then thought leadership from last 25 years, and then most of my career has been followed because what I follow Shashank directly.
Right, enough.
So for those who listeners or for this podcast, guys, if you don't know, we call Shashank as Shanky Baba. Baba is somebody who is old and wise. So
Yeah, sure.
Old and wise and who preaches. Who
I
preaches.
think time to end the podcast. Like, guys, you guys have to subscribe.
All right,
nice.
all right, everyone. It was a good discussion. I think I did not anticipate basically on these two topics we will have such a back and forth, and it's very interesting to hear all your thoughts.
I think we should do the user privacy stuff like sometime in future podcasts. Like that's a very interesting thing, and
Absolutely.
that's one thing I really personally care about a lot. That user privacy is something I really want to do something about there. Like I don't know what, but we'll do something there.
Definitely, and also there's a new, very interesting while documentary that has come out, which is it's Social Dilemma. Right? So we can discuss about that in the future episodes.
Mhm.
So that concludes this particular episode, and do subscribe to our channel. If you're on the YouTube, do the subscribe and click on that bell icon. When you click on the black icon, you will actually see the alerts when we post new videos. We, as a podcast, are available on all the platforms. So do subscribe us, and you will find us in all the platforms there. Thank you for today, and have a good weekend.
Yeah, reminder, our name is
See you
Tech
guys.
GTM.
Tech
Bye.
and GTM. All
Bye,
right, bye bye.
Okay, see you guys.